All right, welcome back everybody. For those of you who are watching at home, this is video number 2 where we are going to do our demo for week 2, putting together that menu using those paragraph and character styles as well as creating those tabs. And I'm going to show you a little bit of the CRAP principles in the example that I have done. Don't forget to watch the first part of this video if you haven't already, because I go over a lot of very important information during that video. All right, so let's do our first part, which is duplicating our menu cover file. So because we created a folder last week for Mod 4, DES 105, and week 1, I know exactly where my assignment is. It's right here under my assignment. Here's my zip file, and here is my package folder that I created. So what I'm going to do in my finders, I'm going to open up a new window, and I'm going to navigate over to Mod 4, DES 105, and week 2. And I already have an assignment folder going with some images that I threw in there for myself. So I am just going to open up that assignment folder from last week. And I want to select the INDD file, not the IDML file, the .INDD file. And I'm going to hold down Option. And when I start to drag, you'll see how I get that green plus sign. Once I get over here, I'm just going to let go and copy and paste that in. So again, make sure you're holding down Option so you don't just move it into the new week. You want to copy and paste it into the new week. And I'm going to just change the name of it from Assignment 1 to Assignment 2. And that was easy. So it's been renamed. I only did one cover, if you recall, last week, so I'm just going to open up my file. But if I had done 2, what I would do is I would say, you know, page 1 was really the better of the 2. So I am going to delete page 2 and just work with page 1. That's how I would do it. And because I'm in my new file, I still have my original file over here with my 2 pages. So you want to make sure, you know, that's why you copy and paste that file, because you never want to destroy anything. All right, so once you have it down to the 1 page that you want, all you're going to do is go to your Pages tab, pop a new page back in. So you'll do Create New Page. It's the icon that looks, it's right in the middle, that looks like a blank piece of paper with the corner turned up. And that will add in page 2. And this is the page that we are going to design our menu on. Now, I am actually going to add a 3rd page. You do not need to do this, but the reason why I'm doing it is I'm going to kind of do you guys a solid, and I'm going to design one menu that is for more of a casual restaurant, and I'm going to change it up afterwards to one that would work for a fine dining restaurant. So that way you can see the difference in the way that I have designed my 2 menus. It might help you out this week. I am not going to do either any of the menu copy that you guys are doing, again, because I don't want you to follow my design, but I'm going to be using the same exact principles that I expect from you. So this is my menu that I'm going to be adding in. You can see I have appetizers, entrees, and desserts. And then I have this kind of like small copy about, you know, cook to order and prices may vary in New York, and let us know if you have a food allergy, that type of stuff that you always see, you know, the smaller type on a menu. So the first thing I want to do in my Word file, and you should do this too when you open up your menu file, go in between where the item is and the price, and just make sure there is just one tab there. So hit Tab on your keyboard. I've already done this on this one. But what that is doing basically is it's setting you up for when you get into InDesign and you have your tabs all set up, and you place everything in, it's just one less step that you're going to have to do in InDesign that you can just kind of take care of in Word. So I always try to do something like this. For only, I'm going to do a tab here, $3.99 more, and I'm going to move that down to the next line. That should have a hyphen. There we go. All right. All right, so next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my menu in a 2-column design. Why? Just because, you know, I think that that's what's going to work for me, and because I've done this before and I know it works. So to set it up for 2 columns, I want to manually add the columns in InDesign, and so I don't have to figure out where those columns are going to go. So I'm going to go up into Layout, and I'm going to go to Margins and Columns, and I want to change my number of columns to 2, and you'll notice it adds in a second column, and I want my gutter to be a little bit bigger than 0.25, so I'm going to do maybe 0.5. I want to have a, you know, some good space there in between my items. I don't want the description of one item to look like it's running into the description of another item. Oh, I'm just reading in the comments. Hold on one second. I just saw your comment, Shelly. Post them to menu covers on Facebook to ask for opinions. Oh, yes, definitely. That is a great idea. If you are used to sharing your work on Facebook for your friends to see, definitely share it and try to get a critique from them as well. And absolutely use their suggestions when you are redoing your menu cover for this week. That's a really great idea. I highly suggest people doing that, you know, or Instagram or, you know, Twitter, wherever it is that you happen to be. I used to do that all the time. Whenever I design websites, I put the link up that I'm working on, and I ask my friends, I say, can you guys go on the site that I'm building? Try to break it for me. Find me things that are not working. I always ask for critiques. So no, that's a great suggestion. And definitely, you know, be able to use their assessment as well. Awesome. All right, so sorry everybody, I got a little off track, but that was really a great idea. So again, I'm going to do a 2-column design, and I want, you know, number of columns is 2, and my gutter is 0.5, and then I'm going to click OK. And you can see now that I have some margins and rulers that I can align my text boxes to. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw. Maybe starting at maybe 1.5 inches down. So I'm going to drop a ruler here. I'll start my first text box, and for some reason, InDesign is still defaulting to aligning right for me. I do not know why it is doing this. And then draw my second text box over here. There we go. So I've got 2 text boxes that I can add my items to. And this is the part where I need to start thinking over, you know, how I want to set up my character and my paragraph style. So how do I want, you know, what needs to have a style? So I'm going to go back into my Word file. You know, my appetizers, entrees, and desserts, those are my headings in a way. So I'm going to select those, and just, you know, as a visual in Word, I'm going to change it to, you know, heading 1, and heading 1. Just so that way I have a visual in my mind, like, all right, I need to make one character style for my headers. Next, I want to have a character style for the type of entree. So maybe this one will be heading 2, heading 2, heading 2. And this would probably be heading 2 as well. And then I have my item descriptions, which are going to be a little bit smaller than the items themselves. So maybe I'll change that to subtle emphasis, I guess. I don't know. Again, I'm just trying to come up with something visually so I can see what I need to change. Yeah, that works. Subtle, where'd that go? Oh, it's kind of weird. Emphasis, subtle emphasis. And you might not have these same styles. I'm just, again, I'm just trying to create a visual for myself. So when I start copying and pasting things in and changing my style sheets, number one, I know how many style sheets I need to make or different styles I need to make. And number two, I know what needs to be changed. And then this right here is probably going to be a subtle emphasis, but with a much smaller font. So there we go. So now visually, I can see that I've created some hierarchy just in my Word document, which gives me an idea of what I need to do in my InDesign document to kind of, have the same emphasis. So I am going to copy and paste first all of my text from Word in, and then I'm going to start to make these changes using the character style sheets and the paragraph style sheets. So we're going to do Command A and either edit copy or Command C. And then we're going to go into InDesign. And into my first text box, I'm going to do either edit paste or Command V. And you'll notice what happens. It's running over this text box because there's too much text for this text box. But I want it to flow into this text box. So there's a way that I can get it to do this. And unfortunately, in InDesign, the more I zoom in, the red box stays the same. So what I'm going to do instead is take a screenshot of it and show it to you that way and zoom in myself. And screenshots again. I moved everything onto an external hard drive because my computer was starting to run slow, and now everything is basically in the wrong space. I've got to find it. All right. So as you can see at the bottom right here of this text box, there is a red box with a plus sign. The top of the plus is running along the border of my margin right there. So this is what I need to click on. And I need to click on it not with my type tool, but with my black arrow tool. And I'm going to click on that right here. You have to kind of click on the text box first and then click on the box. And then you see how I have this lock icon and it shows the text, kind of an overview of the text from this text box. I'm going to click into my second text box, and what it does is it runs it up and over into that text box. So now these two text boxes are linked. So let's say that I made this one wider. It's going to pull those items out and back into this text box. If I close it back up, it runs back in. It's my overfill text running up into the next text box. Think of, if you had cascading water coming down to waterfall, and once it goes and fills up the first level and it moves to the level below it and the level below it, it's kind of the same thing. So I've got all my text from Microsoft Word into here, and I didn't have to retypeset anything, which is awesome. So you want to go up into your window if you don't have character and paragraph styles open already on your sidebar, and go into styles and open up character styles. And if paragraph styles does not open with it, manually open up paragraph styles in the same exact area and just kind of drag them over here, right here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to set kind of a default font for my paragraph, even though I'm going to end up changing it, I know. You know, I can grab a font that I used up here. I used Garamond, and I used Acumen Pro. So I want to make sure if I'm going to use another, you know, if I'm going to use a sans serif font, which is the font with the little feet, I'm using the same font that I used on my cover. I don't want to all of a sudden have, you know, Mini and Pro down here. So I can change it one of two ways. I can manually select all of my text, or I can just kind of select my text box, go into the paragraph styles, double click on basic paragraph, and so it opens up your options, and go over to character formats, and I can default it to Garamond. Probably default it to 14-point type too. And hit OK. So now, even though I haven't chosen a font yet, I'm already matching page 1, so that's half the battle for repetition. And I've created my first paragraph style. The next thing that I want to deal with, because this is the one that everybody kind of has the most difficulty with, is adding in those tabs. So there are different types of tabs. There is a tab that you put in, and it will move the item over, and it will left justify it. There is one that will center justify the tab, and then there's one that will right justify the tab. It's all in where it is going to line up the different items on the, you know, that the tab is set with. And I know that's very difficult to wrap your brain around. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you an example of it by creating them. So I'm going to, in paragraph styles, because a tab is a paragraph style, I'm going to click on, again, the new sheet of paper because I want to make a new paragraph style. And it's going to default it and just call it paragraph style 1. It's going to do this every single time. So I'm going to double click. And under style name, I'm going to name it tabs because I want to know what each thing is when I, you know, apply it. So I don't have to go, what was paragraph style 1 again? All right. And I'm going to navigate over to the tabs area. And then I'm going to drag this box down so you can see what's happening in my text box when I add that tab in. So as you can see, we have left justified, center justified, right justified, and then align to a decimal. So see how we have the decimal here? I can align them. I can align all of the decimals so the decimal is literally aligned. So I'm going to just show you the different ones. So you're going to need to click on the ruler. And what the ruler does is the ruler is the length of your text box. So it's from the left side to the right side. And where that ruler ends is based on the width of the text box that you drew. So your ruler is not always going to show up the same each time you do this because it really is based on the width of the text box. And I'm going to click and drag on my ruler. See how it has that line right there? That line is where the tab is going to end on the left side. So the left side of that 8. And when I let go, you can see that that tab extends all the way to the left side of the 8. And if I drag it this way, the 8 goes that way. If I drag it this way, the 8 goes that way. When you are dealing with price points, using a left justified tab can be problematic. And the reason why is some price points might have, might be $10.99 or $8.29. And if you're aligning them on the left, the numbers are going to kind of be ragged on the right-hand side, and it just kind of looks a little bit messy. So when you're dealing with price points, you either want to align to the decimal or you want to right align. And if you're going to right align it, you might as well drag it almost to right to the end of the text box. Right there. So I am going to apply this style and hit OK. And then I'm going to do a Command A, select everything, and hit Tabs. And that's going to manually move all of my price points. So now they are all lined up. Oops, except for that one, because my text was a little too long. So I have to hit Enter. Whoops. Shift Enter. And tab. All right, there we go. And it's over to the side. But what if, and you've probably seen this places, what if you want to add those dots from the item to the price? That is what we call a leader. And it is one of your requirements for this week. So again, I'm going to double click on my paragraph style. And once I change my paragraph style, it's going to change it in my text box for me. So I'm going to navigate back to tabs, and where it says leader, I'm going to put in a dot and then hit OK. And that adds all those dots in. And it's just one tab still. So this is way easier than sitting there trying to manually add in all of those dots and get everything to line up. All you have to do is create a tab once and apply it to your text boxes, and all of your price points nice and lined up. All right, so going back to just kind of referring back to my Word file. So I took care of my tabs. So just in my Word file, just again, a visual, I'm going to do a strikeout. I know that one, I've taken care of that paragraph style. That's done. Next, though, I want to take care of my, appetizers, entrees, and desserts, my headlines that I need to make. So I need to think of a font, and these I'm going to do as a character style. And the reason why is I'm only applying this style to certain words. I'm not applying the style to the entire paragraph. So I don't want to change the entire paragraph, the entire text box with a paragraph style. I only want to change certain characters. So that's why I'm going to create a character style. That's another thing people sometimes get a little bit confused with. So I'm going to create a new style. Again, it's going to just default and call it character style 1. I'm going to, double click. I'm going to name it main headline. Under basic character formats, I want to change it to, I'm going to go with Acumen Pro Condensed. And let's preview that. I'm going to need to make that much larger. Let's try maybe 32-point type. And all caps, even though it is all caps. And maybe I want this to be that red I created. There we go. So I can do all of that right within here. And then I hit OK. Click off. So I'm going to go to entrees, select the word entrees, and I'm going to change my change it to main headline. And then desserts, and change that to main headline. So I've taken care of this headline, so I'm just gonna cross that out, again, a visual. Next up, I have my items, the item names. So I need to make another character style with the item name. So I'm just gonna go down to this line. I'm gonna create a new style. So again, I'm gonna click on that new piece of paper. Again, it's gonna default and call it character style 1. I'm gonna call this item names. And for this one, maybe I want to go with Garamond, but bold. Garamond, where are you? Bold. Maybe 16-point type. And gonna do that red again. Hit OK. So I'm gonna select both these, try that, see if I like it, and I do. So I'm gonna select each of my item names, the lines, and you'll notice some of these are getting a little close, so I'm gonna need to deal with that. Whoops. Item name. And I'll have to fix that. All right, so some of them, like I said, got a little bit close, like the baked chicken and sausage penny. The item is now too close to the price. So what I want to do is I don't want to do a hard enter. I just want to do a shift enter and move that to the second line. The same thing with scallop combo. I'm going to move that to the second line. And then tenderloin, I'll move to the second line. Cookies skillet, I'll move to the second line. And then I can move $3.99 back up to this line. That looks good. So I'm going to save it because, you know, save and save often. Don't want to lose what I'm working on. All right, so those are my item names, so I can cross that out. So next I just have my description. So what I can do is I can go into paragraph and, you know, kind of change that in there. Or I can make a new style. And I'm going to make a new style because I think it's just easier to create a new style. I don't want to do anything that's going to mess up my tabs. And sometimes when you go back in and start tooling with things, it messes up the tabs a little bit. So I'm going to make a new style, and I'm going to call it, whoops, item descriptions. And go into my basic character formats. This one I'm going to change to Garamond, italic, and I'm going to change it to 12-point type. And I think that looks good. This is, if you do Command 1, it shows it an actual size. So sometimes it's just so you can kind of get a visual. And that looks good to me. I feel like I can read that. Okay. And then this is my small text. So this one I'm going to change it to item descriptions, but I'm actually going to then bump it down to maybe 10-point type because people don't really need to read that, all that. All right, so I've got appetizers, desserts are on the page by them, the column by themselves at this point, and my entrees. And, you know, maybe I want to start moving a couple of things around because I need to add some images to this. And my images, well, let's see what I have for images. I have cookies. I have my salad, and I have these cupcakes, which the cookies kind of go with this, and then I can add a salad to my 3-course meal. I'm actually going to take this out and I'm going to put it into its own text box just because I have a feeling I'm going to need to like move this around a whole lot. So I selected it. I'm going to do a Command X. I'm just going to quickly draw a text box off to the side and paste it in, and then drag it down here and open it up to the width of my column. And just manually move that down. And actually, all of our delicious menu items are available to go. That should probably stand out a little bit more. Then prices may vary in New York State. So I'm going to take that out. Again, I'm going to draw another text box, paste that in, and I'm going to do this maybe the same size as my main, or the same font as my main headline. I might change the size a little bit. And I'll center that. All of our delicious menu items are available to go. Maybe I'll move that up here and drop this box down here. That looks good. All right, so I have 2 images that I want to put in there. Actually, 3. I want to add the chocolate chip cookies near my dessert, near this dessert. And then I want to also add the cupcake and the fork with the salad near my 3-course meal. So I'm going to draw a rectangle first with my rectangle frame tool. I'm going to do a file place. And navigate over to where my stuff is. Oh, whoops. We're only in week 2. I'm going to grab the cookies, open, and I want to do object, fitting, fit content proportionally. But I want to crop in more on just the cookie. So I'm going to just close up the edges of my rectangle, which will manually crop in on my cookie. And then I'm going to hold down Shift and Command at the same time. Just expand that. There we go. So I haven't actually cropped the image. I'm just using the edge here of my rectangle to visually crop it in InDesign. I'm going to move that up here. Move this up here. And close that down a bit. Okay. I want this to be vertically centered in this space. So, oh, they changed how to do this. Whoops. Used to be up here. Boop, boop. Select text box. Oh. No text. Where are you? There is an option to vertically align your text in the text box, and it used to just show up here, and they kind of moved some stuff around in the last few updates, and now I'm at a loss for finding it. I will find it though, even if I have to Google it. Let me do that real quick. Because remember, Google is our friend. Vertically align text in text box InDesign. Control B to open the text frame options window. Control B. Or Command B. Auto size. No, that's not it. Maybe it is Control B. Nope. Text frame options window. See what I mean? They have changed it because it was text frame options. You can manually do it as well. This is just gonna bother me. I hate when I can't find something, especially when I'm live, because they've moved it. Text frames options. All right, I will find this later and I will make you a video. Right now, I'm going to manually do it, which I know seems silly, but I like to, you know, there are tools to do these things. It's probably right in front of my face, but it used to be right here. That's why I'm bothered. All right. So anyhow, manually do that. I'm also going to add in a picture of the fork. So I'm just going to do a file place for that one, a Command D, and grab that. Put it, want to come in from the side. So I'm going to right click on it and go to transform. I want to flip it horizontal. Drag it out here. Close that up a little bit. So I can add a salad. And then I'm also going to add an image of cupcakes. I'm gonna drag and add that all the way to the bleed right there. But I want this to go to the back, so I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, send that to the back. Zoom in a little bit. I'm going to have to deal with this, and I think I might. First off, I think I'm going to close up my text box a little bit so I can get at it. There we go. Close that up a little. Might bring it kind of to right here, down to my bleed down here. And then I want to add a feather, a gradient feather to it. So maybe just kind of, because I don't want it to come, whoops, don't want it to come too close to these items. There's something about this I'm just not feeling right now. So maybe I'll put this in a circle. Yeah, maybe I'll try it in a circle. See if I like it a little bit better. So I'm gonna go to my ellipsis frame tool. So I had to kind of hold down on my rectangle frame tool to open up my ellipsis frame tool. I'm gonna hold down Shift because I want it to be a true circle. And I'm gonna go to my white arrow, select that image, do a Command X, click on the circle and do a Command V, whoops. Click on the circle and do paste into, right click, there we go. And then with my white arrow, I'm gonna select the image, expand it. There we go. Doesn't matter if it's expanded down here because that's in my bleed anyways. And then object, arrange, send to back, and delete that one. I've got something running off over here though. Or not, just an extra return. Get rid of that. And I might move this over here. Let's keep everything within my margin. Maybe move this up. I have a big return there that I don't necessarily need. So again, just kind of trying to make this work. Maybe bring that down to 9-point type. And right on my margin. Awesome. And I'll bring this down here to the corner. Can only have your treat if you eat your salad. Do a little bit of a gradient, going that way. Unfortunately, at this point, you can only do the linear gradient. Like, I really wish that you could do a circular one, and I'm sure eventually they're going to let you. Oh, thank you. All right, found this online. It says to hold Option key and double click on the text frame for text frame options. Option key? That's where I was. Oh, here it is. Align center. There we go. Text frame options. Align center. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm not going crazy. The option is still there. However, it was way easier when it was right here. Right? Right. All right, I want to visually line up my appetizers to the bottom of all items are available to go. So I'm going to move this up again, which is good because that gives me a little bit more space from, you know, cook to order, yada, yada, yada down there. And I have an extra space right here as well I can get rid of. So move that up. Go. And I want to place something, you know, a pattern in the background. And I already have one made just to give me a little bit of a texture going on here. So I'm going to do draw a text box from my bleed line all the way down to my bleed line and do edit. or file place, sorry. Grab I guess background. I'm not really 100% crazy about that. And I have saved this background in Photoshop. I went into Photoshop, I made this background, and I saved it as grayscale because I wanted to show you something that's kind of cool. Because it's saved as grayscale, I can open up my swatches and I can actually colorize it by adding a tint to it right in InDesign. But you can only do this with a grayscale image. So just a kind of cool option. I'm going to select this, send it to the back, and maybe add some white around my menu items just so they stand out a little bit. Hold down Option and grab this, hold down Shift, 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 Object, Arrange, send all those to the back. Perfect. And I'm going to do a separate box. Get you out of the way. For here, drag down a ruler and drag over a ruler. Oops. Actually, I should make sure that these are centered before I even bother with that. They are. I'm pretty good. A line used to be up here too. You may notice when I go to align something that I go up here all the time. It used to reside up there and it doesn't anymore. And why, Adobe? Adobe likes to mess with me, I've decided. You know, they like to mess with everybody else, but, you know, I'm just going to say it's just me. Sure. There we go. Alrighty. And maybe for this one, ooh, I have an idea. I'm going to reverse this. So I'm going to do a red box here. Bring this one to the front. And then I'm going to change that type to white. I'm going to go to preview for a second. And I really, really want these to line up. So I'm going to have to move this again if it doesn't. Oops. There we go. Get out of preview mode. Move that guide up just a smidge, which means that you need to move up just a smidge. And again, it matters. Alignment matters. And I want to add in some space after this paragraph between, you know, the end of the Boston Lager tater tots and the beginning of entrees. So I'm going to open up paragraph, not my paragraph style, just my actual paragraph options. And down here where it shows a space after, I'm going to click and just add in maybe 0.125 just to visually add in some space. And then this, I'm going to have to move down again to visually add in some space between the top of that box. And select these three, and I'm going to go to align. It's probably going to screw it up, but I want them to be vertically centered. Yeah, and it did. You have to manually do that. Delete that. That looks about right visually. Save it again. Now, I would consider this probably my fine dining because I have a very thin, elegant font here, and that really kind of says, you know, fine dining, and I have an italic, and I have, you know, serif font. I feel like that feels like fine dining to me. This has kind of a fine dining feel. So I might use a selection of fonts such as this for a fine dining menu. So I'm going to save this, and I'm actually going to quickly copy and paste everything onto page 3. And I'm going to show you how I am going to change some of my fonts to change the feel of this to a more casual dining. So I'm gonna open up my character styles, and what I'm going to do is I am going to duplicate each style by right-clicking on it and renaming it casual. Okay. And item descriptions, duplicate. I'm going to name it casual, just so that way I can quickly change these fonts to kind of show you how just changing the fonts can really change the entire feel of something. So under my main headline casual and my basic character formats, I was using the Acumen Pro. I'm going to change it to maybe where are you? I have a font in mind. I'm not seeing it. Try. Actually, there we go. Selected so I can see what I'm doing. So I can change it to Bebas New, which might work a little bit better so it's not running over the top of the page. Yeah, I'll do that one just for time. So change all of these. Dessert, oops. And you. Bring the font size down a little bit on that one, and I need to change it to white because I had changed that one a little bit. So already has a little bit of a different feel. Then for my item names, casual, maybe I'll change this one to maybe Franklin Gothic book. Yeah, that works. Oops. And for my descriptions, that one, Franklin Gothic, italic, and I'm probably gonna have to make that a smaller font, so probably 11 point, because it's a little bit bigger of a font. And you can see where it's already starting to kind of move things around a little bit, so I'm going to have to readjust my layout. Things are going into the next column. And this is how, you know, different fonts act differently on the page. Maybe I break this and we line these up at the top. And bring that down to 8-point type. Maybe drop this image down just a smidge. I'll drop a guide to make sure I got these lined up. Ooh, pretty much spot on there. And I'll save that. So you can see that this menu has a definite different feel than this menu. And all it was changing a couple of, just changing my fonts around. It has a much more kind of casual feel than the fonts that I've chosen for here. So save your document. And again, we're going to package our file and put together that print ready PDF. So I'm going to do File, Package, and one of my images uses RGB, so I would change that to CMYK. Don't worry about that. You're not going to lose points for that. Hit the Package button. Continue. And I need to make sure I'm in the right area. So week 2 in my assignment. I'm going to put my folder in there, and I want to include that PDF with that preset that I made last week, which has the marks and bleeds. Remember how we did that last week and we clicked on all marks and bleeds, and then we clicked on the bleed settings? Your PDF file needs to show those bleeds and the bleed setting, and hit Package, and then hit OK. And go in, double check my folder, make sure everything's in there. So this is what your PDF should look like. You should have those the crop marks and the bleed marks showing up. And then page 2. Again, you only have to do one menu. I just showed you 2 menus so you could see one that looks a little bit more formal and one that looks a little bit more casual. Again, make sure all of your images are extending to your bleed line. Make sure that you are using those paragraph styles and the character styles. Make sure that you've used at least 2 of the images that came with your assets. Make sure you are using the doc file of the menu that came with your assets. You do not have to typeset it, just copy and paste it in from Microsoft Word. And make sure that you choose the best of your 2 covers and put it all together. It should feel cohesive from cover to menu. Go back to those crop principles and make sure that you're following the contrast, the repetition, the alignment, and proximity for each and every single part of your menu. So then I'm going to close this. Everything looks good. I am going to select my folder, my DES 105 assignment 2 with my name folder, and I'm going to right click on it and select compress. If you don't have a 2-button mouse, you're going to hold down the control key and click on it and select compress, and it'll say compress whatever the name of your folder is. I'm going to make that zip file. And then again, if you want, you can upload the zip file and the PDF. Make sure you're in the right place. Week 2 assignment. Add another file. Add in that PDF. And then you'll submit the assignment and upload it. All right, before we end for tonight, does anybody have any questions? Yes, there is a PDF in the zip file. The whole reason why you would add it in is if you upload it separately, I can leave you some comments right in your grade on your PDF. So let me quickly play you that video in the announcements, the one that I went over. It's only like a minute long, and you'll be able to see why it is that, you know, some people find it helpful to view the annotations right on the PDF. Because I can tell you this area right here, this area right here, I can actually mark up your PDF. Morning, everyone. I wanted to just make a quick video to show you how you can see your feedback on your grades that I've left, the little notes that I've left on your PDFs. So if you go over into your grades area and scroll down, I'm going to use the week 1 assignment as an example. What you need to do is it'll show your grade. You can see the rubric. So you can see where you may have lost some points. And then if you click on View Feedback, this will show you that PDF where I have annotated the notes for you. So this will be a little bit helpful so you can preview and you can see where each of the boxes, there's a little dotted line that shows where the note goes to, and the different feedback. So hopefully this is helpful. All right, so that's why, you know, some people find that a little bit helpful, you know, to see the feedback right on the PDF. So I like to give people the option to be able to do that. So I do allow you to upload a PDF in your zip file, you know, for that reason. Now, is there any other questions before we end tonight? All right, great. Well, if anybody needs any extra help, I will be available in the multi-session tomorrow. And I hope you all have a great rest of your night. See you next week.